Flag salute. Sunshine Law Statement. All requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act have been met for this meeting of the Board of Education of the Borough of Oradell. Notice of this meeting was filed with the Record and Town News and all persons requesting such notice. Mr. Darian, would you read the mission statement?
The Oradell Public School District is dedicated to the ongoing pursuit of educational excellence through comprehensive, innovative curriculum and instruction. The district is committed to providing opportunities for social, emotional, and academic discovery to foster curiosity, courage, and character. Our goal is to prepare our students to become lifelong learners who are self-directed, resilient, productive, responsible citizens.
Thank you. Roll call.
On the roll, Mrs. Acosta. Here. Mr. Del Greco.
Here.
Mrs. Downey is not here. Mrs. Norian.
Here.
Mr. Nutlin.
Here.
Mrs. Walker.
Here.
Mr. Walsh.
Here.
Mr. Darian.
Here.
Mrs. Nichols.
Here. At this time, we will open to the public for agenda items only. Not seeing any, we will move forward. The only item of business I have is we had Teacher Appreciation Week, and we received a thank you note from the OPS admin team. Dear OPS Board of Education, thank you for the thoughtful bagel breakfast you arranged for the staff at OPS in honor of Teacher Appreciation Day. It was a perfect day to start the day. We appreciate all you do to support us throughout the year. It is wonderful to be part of this community. Yours in education, the OPS admin team. So again, we always want to thank our wonderful teachers, admin, and superintendent, business administrator for all they do for our district. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to the superintendent because I think we have two presentations, which we are very excited to hear.
If you've been listening to board meetings, and I know it's really exciting and it's better than Netflix, you may know that one of our district goals this year has to do with active engagement. And how do we engage students in the learning process? How do we make learning not just something we do compliantly, but something we actually are excited to do? And one of the ways to do that is to really incorporate a STEAM approach, to make science, technology, engineering, art, mathematics integrated into what we do and to create as much hands-on learning as we can. So we have two different groups with us today. We have our Odyssey of the Mind teams who recently traveled to Iowa for the World Championships. And as many of you know, I'm a true Odyssey lover. We have been going to the World Championships for 12 years, and I've been at Oradell Public for 12 years. So I love the program. I got to go to Worlds my first year. So I'm going to ask Ms. Sham to begin today with our Odyssey of the Mind teams. And Ms. Sham, do you want my laptop? Okay.
Got it. Oh,
Hi. Thank you for having us, first of all. I hope it never gets old for you to see me up here and to see us here with winning teams at World Finals, because it never gets old for me, and I know it doesn't get old for the kids. I won't speak for a long time except to say that, once again, I'm super, super proud that we were at World Finals. When we get to World Finals, there were some 800 teams from all over the world at that final presentation at Iowa State University. Our teams competed against anywhere from 50 to 65 teams from all over the world, not just in the United States. And they represent you incredibly well. We are well known at World Finals amongst the judges, amongst teams from other countries, including the teams from Poland and Mexico. some teams from Shanghai and one of the teams from China. They look for us every year. So I think that bodes really well for us, and I appreciate your support so much, and thank you. Thank you, Mr. Walsh, again. You're my head judge forever and always. And without anything else, I'd like to present the teams to you. One team, problem 2 is the engineering problem, and they were 10th in the world. I'd like to just note, as I'm sure Evelyn will remind you, that they were a team in Division 2. Division 2 is 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. That team was made up of 5 team members, 1 6th grader, which made the whole team Division 2, 1 5th grader, and 3 4th graders. And competing and acting and having the poise to compete against 6th, 7th, and 8th graders and come out 10th in the world is phenomenal. So I'm not going to say anything more except thank you, and I'd like to introduce the kids from Problem 2, Division 2, AI Techno Art.
So our problem needed a membership sign, like all other Odyssey problems. So our theme was eggs and chickens because it is now the year 3023 and New York City has been taken over by chickens because they were the only ones that could cross the road without getting run over.
And now it is called New York City. Now it is called New York City. And the setting where it takes place is a diner. So we chose the jukebox because it is found in a lot of diners. The TikTok diner, but it was rebranded to the Click Cluck Diner.
We had to choose a material throughout the play. So we chose egg cartons. We made a chicken out of it, we made paper out of it, and we even made bricks out of paper mache egg cartons.
So the bricks you see in the diner, silver bricks, are also made from egg cartons.
We also incorporated egg puns as one of our free choice style elements, which was for 10 points. And we also made these realistic waffles with butter on top to go on the table.
I made this menu where it's for the Click Cluck Diner. It's a chicken's menu that when you open it, it goes. This menu is for chickens. There's no eggs and no wings, so you don't murder their fellow chickens. So in the bottom left picture, we have egg carton furniture. We stacked egg cartons and covered the sides and made chairs and tables. And then we spray painted them.
We also made a lamp out of egg cartons with egg carton flowers, as you can see here. We put curtain lights into the lamp, and that's pretty much what made it glow. And there's the holes to let the light shine.
We had an engineering problem, so in our problem, the engineering part was the device, where we had to make a device that judged a piece of artwork as good or bad. So to fit in with the whole diner theme, we made a toaster that had a good piece of toast or a burnt piece of toast. We also had to make disassemble an artwork and make a new one. So to do that, and we could only trigger it a few times. So to do that, we had one trigger that cut a string that this artwork was hanging on, and when it cut it, it would make it fall into the shredder. We had another trigger that is a spinning trigger that would punch a button and turn on a blowing mechanism and blow the shreddings onto a sticky part.
Hit it, Ms. Bozius. This was an early version.
The scissors, we used a spinning motor to make the scissors open and close, and then when it fell into the shredder would already be on and it would shred it. Then our next trigger was a punching mechanism made by the same spinning motor, and that would go through a system of Legos that would make a punching mechanism go in and out, and that would cause it to hit a button. And then once it hit that button, our mattress inflator would turn on and blow away onto the sticky paper that we had already set up.
So the last part that I was going to really cover was just the art incorporation of how we had in our problem. Like, if you can see, we had a mosaic of 4 egg cartons that we painted, like in the one up there. It says the founding chicken. And over there's also chicken paintings. And on the very bottom of the table, there's a mother chicken with a little litter chicken. So, yeah.
And then
And
lastly,
there's-
Barbara has Marionetta,
Yes.
who we had to put back together because we had to cut her strings to bring her home in someone's trunk. So she's not quite operating the way she should, but if you give her a quick walk and a sit down, we can save her. And she is all entirely made out of egg cartons, both her tail feathers, everything. Yep. So you can leave things for the board if you want them to see them, and then I'll call problem 3 up next.
That is so clever. How did you make oh, I see, you took the egg cartons. I can see those egg cartons, but how do you make those egg cartons?
What do you mean, the beak or?
And yeah, but no, the bottom. No, that I see are egg cartons down
The bottom?
below. Yeah, with the tail part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's even paper mache inside. Her balloon body is done with paper mache and everything about it is egg carton.
Oh. Very good.
Should make these things for Thanksgiving and then sell them
As a centerpiece?
centerpiece.
That's what you have 2 chances of that, none and none at all. I'm done with egg cartons.
No, actually, one of the hardest things for them is the adhesive.
Yeah.
Because it's very hard with the furniture.
I know, it looks like a flower.
Because it absorbs all of it. Yep.
So,
It's very absorbed.
Problem 3, come on, I'm ready. Hurry, hurry, I'm ready.
Waffles.
Oh, they smell good.
Yeah.
This is
what
great.
kind of glue did you use? Oh, really hot glue kept it together? The best with the material?
Wood glue, really? Wow.
Okay, AJ, you guys get.
That book is so funny. I keep hearing it.
That chicken?
Yeah,
yeah
that's
it's
chicken.
hilarious.
Isn't it cute?
Yeah.
And the team that you are to meet next is problem 3. They are more of a performance problem, and they'll tell you what they needed to do, but they were 6th and actually put on the Jumbotron at the stadium, so that was kind of really cool, got their name announced and all. So 6th out of 56 teams.
That's impressive.
Two fifth graders. Evan and Fiona are the fifth graders. Everyone else is fourth.
Our problem, we needed to make stuff out of rubber bands or make stuff that were powered by rubber bands. So if you see the top middle, it shows like a mouse on a mouse car. The mouse car is powered by a rubber band that you wind up, and then when you let go, it moves forward. And on the bottom left, you could see other stuff that we made out of rubber bands.
Our problem also required a theater critic that was based on one of the main characters from a classic story. We chose Wind in the Willows, and our theater critic was Toad. To represent Toad as our theater critic, we created a character who was called Totally Terrific Teresa. We made the panels by attaching cardboard to wood. Then we painted the panels blue for the sky and green for the grass. Then we added plastic bottle grass, which was our material. In our performance, we had two main characters, and one of them was a dragon, and which is this costume here. It's made completely out of cut-out plastic water bottles that are painted, and we also have a head that was made out of cardboard and put with scales around it too.
As one of our style elements, along with the dragon costume, we had the Alice in Wonderland panel. The hair is made out of plastic water bottles, and the dress is made out of iron plastic bags.
I made a dog, and it's mostly made out of plastic water bottles. The base of the body is made out of cardboard, cut out cardboard, and I traced it for the other side. And on top of it is plastic bottles that I cut into fringe to put on as fur on the dog. On the bottom is a remote control dog, so when it makes the dog move, and we use this remote control so the dog moves.
Evan, do you want to give us just a little background on the story you chose, what your problem really was?
Oh yeah, sure.
Go ahead.
So basically the skit was about,
What did you have to do? You had to create an opening night.
we had to create an opening night, we had to create a performance, an opening night to perform, and supposedly everything's supposed to go wrong. And for our skit, it's about a dragon in Central Park that lost his friend, and so the mouse tries helping the dragon help find his friend.
And explain why. That didn't come out of thin air. What? I know you're forgetting. Someone on the team absolutely can help each other. It's teamwork. Go ahead, Kayla. Quickly.
So we had to create a story with a theme of friendship, adventure, and nature.
Because of why? You forgot.
Because we were supposed to use the themes of the story Wind in the Willows to create another story.
Okay, good. Yay. To show, and then you can move on. Quick walk show. If you have something to show. You don't have anything to show, love you, but okay. Go ahead. Quickly. Okay. Yep. Get you guys set up.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that is. Could I feel it? Could I feel it?
I like the corned beef.
That's so cool. And I like the way you curled it.
Some beef. curled it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah, I like that dragon head. That's cool. What's on the side? What
Oh, it
material
was
is
a
on the side
baseball
there?
hat inside?
Oh, those water bottles. Like this. Okay.
Where's space?
Inside the hat.
Oh,
We have to wait for her to turn it around. There's a hat inside. That's really smart.
oh, that's great.
Did you? You wore the skirt and that? Yeah.
And how did you attach those onto the fabric? Hot
gun.
glue? It's all hot glue.
And it stayed all this time.
That is great.
That's pretty cool. It looks great. Thank you.
Did it?
That is adorable. And I love the big sleeves.
Yeah. Pretty smart.
Yeah, maybe. We got a bunch. Miss Bosnius uses another one I have as a booster, fire drills. This whole thing is made out of plastic water bottles, and it's all, like, there's like 2,000 water bottles on there.
Oh my God.
Very creative.
When you go like
Here's
this,
fire.
it's a big piece of felt, so she stands
It's
at the
got it
top of the
right.
stairs and turns people. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. We are now going to move to our sixth graders who, as you know, we moved from an isolated science lab class to a STEAM coach position, which aligned to the state saying we needed to do a better job integrating STEAM and computer science and design standards across the curriculum. And Mrs. Cataldo took that challenge to heart, and she is truly building us a STEAM program that we can be incredibly proud of. At the same time, our school board members came back from school boards and says, there's this thing there called New Jersey Steam Tank. And so, of course, the new superintendent at the time said, well, we will do New Jersey Steam Tank then. And last year, we were incredibly proud to have numerous teams qualify for the regional championship. And when I met with the sixth graders this year, I said, okay, guys, we're all in this together. Let's see if we can get one team to state finals. And not only did we get one team to state finals, but we did get two teams to state finals. So what they're going to do today is share a little, they're going to share their actual presentation that they gave to the New Jersey School Boards Committee.
So they had a 5-minute time limit to present and to share their design experience.
Hello, we are Silver Cycles, and we're turning trash into treasure.
Did you know that over 15 million bikes are tossed in landfills every year? Landfills are overflowing with waste, and this is a huge contribution in some areas to water, land, and air pollution. We can reuse these products, but instead we're letting them go to waste, which is a huge cause of climate change. And climate change is also a huge cause to natural disasters, affecting things from small communities to the entire world.
That's why we created SOC, an amazing solution to this problem. SOC will be taking apart bicycles using tools and turning those parts into art. We will also be holding art classes. Since we're a non-profit organization, any proceeds collected will be put back into our classes, which is called Save Our Cycles Environmental and Art Classes. Any art that we collect will be given to people in need. Any parts which are harmful to the environment will be given to other companies. This is how SOC will solve the problem of many bikes ending up in landfills. This is helpful, sustainable, and reduces climate change.
This banana car, this cannon, and this picture are our prototypes. At first, while we were brainstorming ideas, Cynthia Corey, our expert, showed us a picture of multiple shells inside a wheel. Instead, we made these prototypes, and that's where we got our inspiration for the picture. In the first steps of this project, we'll be creating abstract art out of the metal piece of the bike. Later, we will help the world and make even more useful and sustainable items. The base of the banana car is the tire attachment. The back wheel of the banana car is part of the tire. The front wheels of the banana car were attached to the back wheel on the sides. The picture is made of paint, a bike tire, and plywood. The plywood and paint aren't hurting the environment, so they're eco-friendly. We used a glue gun to attach most of the pieces for all the prototypes.
We will be working all year long, as the weather will not prevent us from working and creating products. Yes, during the winter, it might be more difficult to collect wasted bicycles from landfills, but that is okay, because during the winter, we can collect wasted bicycles from people. We will then transform that wasted bicycle into a desktop decoration, a useful item, or a beautiful art piece. We will try our best with determination to work through the sun, heat, rain, snow, and more with perseverance and with the hope of making our planet a better, healthier, and less polluted place.
We sent a survey to our community.
You may be wondering, what about the rusty parts and how will we clean them? Won't they be hurting the environment?
Well, we have some solutions for that. Our first solution, mixing baking soda and water to make a paste that we will apply on the rusty spots. After letting it sit for a while, we'll be able to scrape off the rust. Our second solution is salt, lemon, or lime juice. You apply the salt in the rusty spot and add the lemon or lime juice. Then the rust will come off after letting it sit. Our last solution is white vinegar. White vinegar is a powerful cleaner because of its acidity. Let the rusty parts soak in white vinegar for a while. Will make the rust easier to come off, and most of it will dissolve.
We sent a survey to our community to record our town's data. We got 21 responses, and these are the two most positive results. We also asked our community if they are willing to give us any bike parts and what they would like us to make.
Our first expert, Cynthia Corey, owns a bicycle shop called RNA Cycles in Brooklyn, New York. Our second expert, Mr. Fish, a steam tank judge who managed multiple teams to 4th and 2nd place in steam tank finals. Our third and fourth expert, the Oradell DPW and the Mahwah DPW, helped us answer questions on where and how we can get our bicycles. Thank you to Lou Warnett and Daniel K. Niewanen for answering all our questions.
As you can see, based on our presentation, SOC is reliable and sustainable. We chose SOC because it does not hurt the environment and it prevents climate change. We prevent bike parts from ever landing in landfills. Our prototypes of banana car, cannon, and picture. These prototypes are mainly made out of bike parts.
We're done.
Just remember, SOC safe bikes for me.
Just to let you know, they were cited in 5 categories for exemplary performance from New Jersey school boards.
Oh.
Shoes by Hannah Pratt and Bailey Wax. Welcome to our slideshow. We have come across a very big problem. There is way too much plastic waste in landfills and in the ocean.
During our research, we found out that over 60 million plastic water bottles end up in a landfill per day. We also found out that less than 10% of plastic water bottles are recycled. But Hannah, how can we fix this problem?
Great question, Bailey. Our solution to this problem is that we are going to reduce the amount of plastic that ends up in landfills and in the ocean by turning these plastic water bottles into shoes.
We are changing this to this. Our product is plastic shoes. Plastic shoes are slides made out of plastic water bottles. Slides are a specific type of sand. Our product is made out of 16.9 ounce bottles, hemp, hot glue, recycled EVA, and tape.
We are sending kits to Africa for every pair that is bought.
Our kits consist of hemp, tape, recycled EVA, Greco's glue, and scissors. Greco's glue is a type of water-based adhesive that is completely sustainable and durable.
We will not be sending a hot glue gun since they might not have any outlets, and we will not be sending plastic bottles since they already have a lot there.
These are the instructions that will be put into the kits. We will also have a visual.
First, you take 2 plastic water bottles, cut the tops off, slide them into each other to your size, wrap tape around them, and you do that 2 times. So now it looks like this. You wrap hemp around the bottle, but not on the bottom, so it's more sustainable. It should look like this. And now you take the straps that you cut out from the plastic bottles, wrap those in hemp, glue it onto the shoe, and add the recycled EVA to the bottom. This is what your final product should look like. We sent out a survey to the community on the information of our kits.
One of our questions was, would you be interested in buying kits so that you can make your own shoes? As you can see, the least amount of data values was no.
We also asked another question, if they would be interested in buying shoes made out of plastic water bottles, if they knew that the profits would be going to making kits for people who need them, who need shoes. 95% said yes.
Our experts were Mr. Frisch, esteemed St. John's, who helped us with our presentation and data. Our other expert was Susan Simon, who helped us with our scope and come up with our ad material. That was the hemp and the recycled EVA. If you do not know, she is the co-founder of a shoe brand called Mermero.
Our business plan is that we will be sending 1 pair of shoes for $29.99 so that we can pay for shipping and for supplies.
We are planning on becoming a nonprofit organization so that all of the profits go to sending shoes to Africa, sending kids to Africa, and to buy materials. We would like to partner with schools to do water bottle drives so that we can collect water bottles because schools get a lot of plastic waste.
Every pair bought is a kit sent to Africa.
Mrs. Cataldo and Ms. Voyatzis, could you just give us a quick overview of some of the other products that the students created?
We had, one team did shoes with removable soles. So a parent wouldn't have to buy numerous pairs of shoes, and it would stop landfills from having, I think, how many? Millions of shoes. So they said, one of them had the idea because they said their parent talked about when they were younger, they couldn't afford all those shoes, so you could interchange the things. And you haven't seen anything until you've seen 6th grade boys with needles and threads sewing shoes together.
We have a group that came up and actually built drain covers for the streets for when they get covered with leaves so that people could easily pick them up and remove the debris. We had a lot of lantern
We had 2
fly.
lanternfly
had-
extinguishers,
We had sticky,
a
biodegradable glue.
biodegradable glue that they would put in bamboo bottles that could be refilled. So another thing we don't think about in schools, we use so much glue. And again, it was millions of empty glue bottles a year, and they said if you could reuse it, and they actually made the glue. We had another group that tried to make biodegradable soda carriers so they don't wind up in the oceans, and they spent months working with bioplastics. I know Ms. Bozios came in our room and it always smelled so nice after they did it. Trying to think what other ones.
Anybody else's? A lot of things about collecting trash.
Yeah, a lot of beach cleaners, trash compactors. So they ran the gamut of all kinds of sustainable objects.
Thank you both. I know how dedicated you both have been to this, and that STEAM lab on a Friday has been hopping.
That's great.
And I do have to say, they all gave up their recess numerous times to come in and work.
And I would just like to add that I appreciate the STEAM program immensely because there's no way I could do Odyssey without any kids, so they take up the slack.
Yes.
So
Yes, Mrs. Voyatsis. Okay.
We do want to say about the teams, there was 602 teams throughout New Jersey who went in. 400, I think it's 25 made regionals, all 23 of our teams made it. 420, they're correcting me, 427 made regionals, all 23 of our teams, so every 6th grader in the school made regionals. And then we had our 2 final teams that made it into the top 20.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Okay, so to our students, I know the board wants to acknowledge you with a certificate, so President Nichols is going to take over.
Oradell Public Schools rocking. 6th and 10th in the world, and then top 10 for STEAM, and all of our teams made it to the regionals. It's amazing.
All 23 teams.
Amazing. Okay, we're going to start with the Odyssey of the Mind participants, and then when we call your name, come up here, shake my hand, shake Superintendent Bozier's hand, then go on over to the stairs because we need pictures for our, I guess, Instagram and newsletters.
And as a reminder, this is like commencement practice. You grab with your left, you shake with your right, okay?
So I'm just going to read what this says so everyone knows that the Certificate of Achievement, and it's in recognition of your participation in the 23-24 Odyssey of the Mind World Finals. Congratulations for the Oradell Board of Education. So our first participant is Harper Benjamin. Ambla Bergazi. Evelyn Eng. Right here. Right here.
Just because you shake my hand too.
Julian Greco. Kayla Kim. Lila Kim. Samantha Levin. Evan Park. Fiona Venisjo. Alexandru Wu. Anderson Wu. All right, we're going to take a picture.
Come closer. Go closer. Yeah.
They don't land anywhere. That's like my mother-in-law. She always takes pictures of my kids and I never see them. She's like, my grandkids. And then their heads are off. The pictures of their feet.
6 and 10 in the world. Amazing. So we're going to do the same thing with the STEAM participants. I'm going to read the certificate. Certificate of Achievement in recognition of your participation in the state level of the 2024 STEAM Tank Challenge. Congratulations from the Oradell Board of Education. So same thing, up here and then to the stairs. So we will start with Stefan Candon. Christian Gutierrez. Christian Corey. Arda Kozan. Batu Kozan. Owen Mapes. Maxim Mindolan. Hannah Pratt. Bailey Wax. Daniel Yee. Any parents want to come up and take pictures, please do. So look for your pictures when it comes in the newsletter, in the mail, whenever we get the newsletter out. I'll go to the whole town. So I don't know if any of the board members want to say anything before we, does anybody want to say anything other than how impressed we were?
I just have to tell you guys, your enthusiasm just comes out with the whole presentation and how you could all memorize all of that. There were no notes, there were no cheat sheets. You just did a beautiful job and made us very, very proud. Thank you very much.
I would just like to add, you all did such a wonderful job presenting. Absolutely, Rita, you're 100% right. Never stop tinkering, never stop toying around, never stop playing. Get off the devices and do what you guys did, and you put it together, and I know some of you are like, no, we're still on our devices. But keep going with the Legos, keep playing with things, put things together, break things apart, put them back together, try it, because that's how we get to better places. So congratulations.
I'd like to say the same. Great job, everybody. It's a lot of courage to get up there on stage and present in front of people. I know adults who couldn't do it. So congratulations, great job. And as Mr. Nutland said, just keep on tinkering, keep on playing. People make a lot of money in their professions that people do very well with. So keep it up.
I'd like to congratulate Ms. Sham. I know it's been a while. How many years has it been now with?
I started in 2009 with Mrs. Nichols' son, Erickson, and that was a disaster. I wanted to walk out of regionals, and the kids said, no, we can't.
I can attest to that. It was a disaster.
2013 was our first year when Miss Bozias came, and she came with me, and it was stressful, and I cried and things, but it was really good.
It was 2013, I remember. You know, it was a lot of a big commitment from the board to support the Odyssey program. It was rough at first, a lot of ups and downs. There was questions about travel. There was questions about this responsibility and that responsibility. But now it's like clockwork, and I really want to commend you on. We can't control the weather, but and we've had our fair share of adverse weather, and but you know, I really want to commend you on this program, and I'm so glad that we've supported this program over the years, and we've expanded now, so that when we go to school boards, we can proudly say, we're from Oradell, and they'll know based on the reputation with our kids. So thank you very much.
This is my 16th year as a judge. I can not think of a better time. I had a lot of fun. I used to have board members that came with me and were judges also. Hopefully we can resurrect that idea. And I want to congratulate the esteemed participants. It's great to see, and it puts a challenge on the next students that come along. Thank you.
I just remember Ms. Sham and I received our masters together. We worked together, and who would have thought, some 15 years ago, Tracy?
15. This is my 36th year, Mrs. Walker, and I went for my master's in my 4th year.
No.
2 years ago.
I must have gotten you mixed up with someone else.
She was hoping you couldn't add.
Well, congratulations. Who would have thought?
So like Ms. Sham said, my older son was in the first class that went to Odyssey, and it was learning experience. We were learning, but even though it was a little bit crazy, he had a wonderful time. And I have to say, until we did construction on our house about 5 years ago, I still had a ton of Odyssey things in my house. The big sheet from the play, had all kinds of things. So he looks back on his time very fondly. But I have to say, after seeing this tonight, I think Elon Musk has some competition coming up in a few years. So like Mr. Nutlin said, keep it up. And you guys will go far, and we're not going to make you sit through our entire boring meeting. So if you want to take 2 minutes and go, so we can continue our meeting, but we appreciate you coming, and thank you very much for everyone coming.
It's yours. Although I want another day. My plastic bag.
You know, we'll bring it back possible. We'll bring it back possible. Try not to get
I'm taking everything.
I trust you. Thanks for sharing.
When you get to the fair trade, I get the travel and this.
Yeah, really. And Bailey gets a shoe?
Yeah.
I think that I deserve
Make
to.
the shoe out of
I
it.
think that I deserve to get some post.
4 minutes.
I'm sure you guys will work it out.
We will.
She wants to know if you guys are besties outside of school.
Yes. We walk over each other.
She said she could tell. She sensed the closeness. All right, you
Oh, I
guys
forgot my necklace.
Bailey, do you need some help? Thank you so much
Thank you.
for the opportunity. Good job. Great job. And I expect to see your name in lights. Oh my God. On the down low. Shaw.
Take care.
Shaw.
Okay, so it's been a really busy time at Oradell Public Schools, so I'm going to just share a few things that have happened. In the area of music, we had a night, Mr. Walsh was here that night, where we did a 4th, 5th, and 6th grade choral concert, a 5th grade and 6th grade handbells choir, and also all of our bands performed. Then the next day, we said, we haven't done enough music, so let's put the advanced band on a bus, and let's take them to Northern Highlands High School and let them be part of a music festival. And the coolest part about a music festival, you don't really understand it when you're there, while the band is performing, there's a judge. And the judge actually reads into a microphone, and they're critiquing. And so I got to be in the music room recently while Mr. Butcher was sharing some of the judge's critique. And it was quite exciting because he actually said to the students, he said, listen, remember what the judge said to you. He got picky with you because you're already so good he could. And I thought that what a nice compliment to our 6th grade band. Mr. Butcher is very happy with the progress that our musicians are making. He says, we have not seen this level of instrumental player in quite a few years. And then after that, we said, okay, so the band had their moment. Let's put the chorus on a bus and take them to Prudential Center. And they performed in what's known as American Young Voices. American Young Voices is when choirs across the state learn the same for medleys of songs. And they pack the Prudential Center and they sing together. There is a professional musician on the bottom, and parents can go and they can watch, and it's really a joyful moment. I know that Mr. Del Greco was there because I saw him when we came back at 10 o'clock at night. And then we said, okay, we've been celebrating music, let's keep celebrating music. So our kindergartners sang a song outside as part of their writing celebration, and then today, in just the most pure, joyful moment, our 1st graders lined on the risers, and they did this very little play. It was 20 minutes. It was, every kid had one line. They sang 4 songs, and it reminded you how sometimes things can still be really simple and be so wonderful. I was like texting Mrs. Scroce, I was like, you need to come upstairs because this is going to get us through the day. It really was an amazing event, and I did want to publicly thank both Mr. Butcher and Mrs. Reese-Beater because they have taken on quite a lot. And it proves once again that the education at Oradell Public School is not just about reading, writing, and arithmetic. It is about the whole child and providing them opportunities, whether that be in STEAM, whether that be at the art show, whether that be through our music programs. And it's something that I believe we should all be incredibly proud of. We've also, if you were here last week, we had our 5th and 6th graders participating in the torch run, but I also did want to invite the board, if you are free tomorrow morning at 8:45, every year for about the past 4 or 5 years, the Oradell Police Department has picked an Oradell Public School student to be chief for a day. And the entire school lines the street, and the student comes to school in a police car, and we do a little parade. He then, this year it is a he will then go to Borough Hall. He will officially be sworn in as the chief for a day. He will learn about the police department, and he and his family will then actually go to a county celebration. And at that county event, he will learn more about different types of police units, the K-9 unit, the motorcycle unit. There will be a luncheon there for he and his family as well. It really is, he gets a uniform. It's a pretty cool thing. So if you're free tomorrow at 8:45, we will be outside lining the streets once again with, it's always the 2nd graders, 122nd graders yelling at everyone that passes, beep the horn, beep the horn. It's always the 2nd graders. And again, tomorrow night we will come together again in this auditorium to recognize our 6th graders for 6th grade awards. And again, you're also invited to that. And otherwise, I will see some of you next week at commencement. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Do you know how Chief for a Day is chosen? Do we have to write anything here? Do we participate in it, or? It's all
Yes,
through
they,
the
the police department reaches out to us about it, and we jointly choose somebody.
Can you tell us what the requirements are and how they choose? Like, do they have to write an essay? Is it just? Okay. All right. So the school and the police choose together. Nice. Okay, moving to business administrator's report.
Yes, we finished our QSAC last week. Well, on the May 31st was the last leg of it, and we completed our fiscal review. We had very good feedback from the Bergen County Business Administrator, so we should be getting our results shortly of our entire QSAC process. We've also received some additional quotes on fencing, on some door locks. So we're just starting to get ready, moving forward with projects this summer. We've had pre-construction meetings, so things are starting to get moving regarding the building grounds for a busy summer. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Moving on to minutes, we have review of May 22nd. I had actually made a change to them, so can you email the new draft to the board of May 22nd? We have approval of May 1st. Do I have a motion?
I move that we approve the minutes of May 1st.
Second by Mrs. Walker. Any questions? Call the question.
On the roll, Mrs. Acosta, Mr. Del Greco,
Yes.
Mrs. Downey,
Yes.
Mrs. Norian,
Yes.
Mr. Nutlin,
Yes.
Mrs. Walker,
Yes.
Mr. Walsh,
Yes.
Mr. Darian,
Yes.
Mrs. Nichols.
Yes, committee reports. Mr. Darian, will you take administrative?
Yes, we have 2 items I'd like to introduce, A1 and A2 tonight.
I'll second it.
Second by Mrs. Noria. Any questions? Call the question.
On the roll, Mrs. Acosta, Mr. Del Greco,
Yes.
Mrs. Downey,
Yes.
Mrs. Norian,
Yes.
Mr. Nutland,
Yes.
Mrs. Walker,
Yes.
Mr. Walsh,
Yes.
Mr. Darian,
Yes.
Mrs. Nichols.
Yes. Buildings and Grounds, Mr. Darian?
Yes, just an update quick. We had a meeting last Wednesday, June 5th, and the items that we discussed were Center Street. We're looking to landscape the area above the retaining wall, extending all the way in front of the school with shrubbery and landscaping. So, we're running into issues with the quotes. They seem to be overly complex and very expensive. So we're continuing to go out and get different alternatives and lower prices. We also are considering putting in a fence or extending the fence and including gates. And so we reviewed some quotes for that. We talked about the summer projects as our business administrator has just mentioned. You'll see tonight on the finance, B2, the rooftop HVAC unit, also drawings for that, and then some exhaust fan and roof updates. There's some other expenses, and that's in D14. These items have been discussed over and over and over again. They're finally getting closer to implementation. We had a lot of discussion, even though we were supposed to only discuss a little bit, on the conditions of the bathrooms. And so, how many bathrooms do we have? I can't forget.
25.
25 bathrooms, about.
25 that haven't been recently renovated.
Okay. So, that's a lot. And if we were to go in and revamp an entire bathroom, replacing the tile and all the fixtures, it's going to cost us an excess of $200K per bathroom. So it's a big undertaking. So, we're not going to do a complete rehaul all at once, but we are going to do a lot of little things first as we look into cycling through the bathrooms. And what I mean by a lot of little things first is when it comes to lighting, when it comes to maintenance of the existing structures, replacing fixtures or valves, things of that nature, paint, T-bar ceiling replacement, those types of things we can do with our normal budget, maintenance budget. But when it comes to chipping up the floor, replacing all the partitions and the fixtures, we're still looking at, rolling out a schedule. And we haven't budgeted for that yet, so we're going to be discussing that also with finance. So, we're still in I would say, the beginning stages, but we're not going to wait, is my point, for a final solution. And then, and that was about it. So with that, I'd like to introduce on the agenda tonight, if I can find my agenda, I think it's just B1 and B2.
I'll second it.
Any questions? Mrs. Walker?
I have a question on B2.
Yes.
The approval of the rooftop HVAC.
Yeah.
When will that be done? Is it this year?
Well, I don't think we're going to be able to squeeze it in this summer, but if not, it'll be done as soon as possible, like the fall or the winter.
Whenever we get the unit.
So the unit, I remember hearing like back a couple
Yeah,
months
the back-
ago, it wasn't here yet.
Yeah, the backstory is we did an audit of all the rooftop units. This particular rooftop unit was not in our long-range facility plan because it's not that old. We didn't anticipate it to be a problem. And the ones we thought were going to be a problem weren't a problem. So ironically, we had to figure out how we're going to replace this. The unfortunate thing is that everyone in New Jersey, every school district in New Jersey is all undergoing the same thing at the same time. And it's hard for us to get parts and materials and resources to implement this. So, right now we're moving forward. We're including it in our long-range facility plan, which is required by the state. We financed it within the budget. We've worked with land so that we get the drawings done, and you're moving as soon as we can to replace it.
So there's no long-term guarantee on these things?
Which-
Like you said, like the HVAC that has to be replaced up there. Is there some kind of a contract or a warranty?
In terms of a warranty?
Yeah.
Well, this was done, I think, when they added the kindergarten wing in 2005. So it's
15, almost
It's up there.
yeah.
I don't know, I think it should last longer, to be honest. It's a commercial unit. But it is what it is, you know? Sometimes,
No,
you know,
I-
rust starts to form, and it could be a manufacturer's defect, and it took 10 years to become a problem. But, you know, this unit has coils up on the roof. It's not coils, it's a heat exchanger where the heat goes over tubes that fresh air goes through. And if those tubes get compromised, then you get carbon monoxide inside the school. So, you know, it's one of those things, we got to replace it.
Well, it's almost 20 years old, though, right?
Yeah, but the other units are older, and they're fine. So, yeah, if it's new, I'm sure we're going to get a warranty, but I don't know how long it's going to be. But like everything, you know, my local refrigerator, you know, they don't last as long, and they're not as good as the old one, and I don't know, it's just sad. I'm going to cry.
Don't do that. But our
Planned
repair guy
obsolescence.
said, if you have an old refrigerator or a stove, keep it,
Yeah.
have it repaired.
Yeah,
We have a refrigerator in our basement, and it was from my mother, and my mother is gone 41 years. And
Wow.
it's still working. It's one of these that fills up with a little frauds. And my kids say I'm probably paying more in electric, but that thing keeps going.
Maybe.
Over 40 years old.
yeah, unfortunately with
It holds up the lead.
anything HVAC, you know, the number of companies that make them are dwindling, and so it doesn't matter who you go with, they're all about the same.
Sorry to digress.
That's right. So I think we're good for a roll call, Ms. Stripelli.
On the roll, Mrs. Acosta.
Yes.
Mr. Del Greco.
Yes.
Mrs. Downey.
Yes.
Mrs. Norian.
Yes.
Mr. Nutland.
Yes.
Mrs. Walker.
Yes.
Mr. Wall.
Yes.
Mr. Darian.
Yes.
Mrs. Nichols.
Yes. Curriculum, Mrs. Norian.
There's no report at this time.
Finance, Mrs. Acosta.
We have several items. I'd like to put forth D1 to D14.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Walsh. Any questions?
I have a
Mr.
question.
Darian?
I have a question for Mr. Del Greco.
Yes.
I know this is not, it's regarding D10 and our
And 9?
access point.
Yes.
So I always thought, you know, like anything internet, router, access points, Wi-Fi, you buy a piece of equipment and that's it. It's good until it breaks. But apparently, these Meraki's have a subscription service. So it's kind of like a printer. You know, as long as you pay the subscription, it has access to the internet, it works. And as soon as you stop paying the subscription, it stops working. How long has this been going on?
That particular brand was designed for Cisco to start creating annual recurring revenue, which is what the street is reporting now in all stock. So you're going to see a lot of technology go down that model of subscription.
Right?
The APs they will continue to work. It's just you won't have connectivity to the controller, or you won't get security updates, which are important.
Yeah. And subscription services like this, is this relatively new, or has this been going on in the industry for a long time?
It's on the uptrend. It's been going on a couple years, but it's becoming more and more popular as things are rolled out.
I see. Because it kills me to spend, I mean, I'm on a soapbox, so this has nothing to do with you, it has nothing to do with Peter, it has nothing to do with the board approving this, but, you know, it kills me to spend $25,000 to maintain something that we already purchased, you know, for the next 3 years. It's like, you know, we could use that money for something else. But, you know, that's the nature of technology nowadays, so.
Are there any companies that don't do that? Or they're all that way?
There are some, I would say, non-enterprise companies that do not do that subscription, but due to the size of the building and probably the materials and everything, this product is well suited for the building. To rip these out because of the recurring subscription, to put something else in, I believe will be cost prohibitive. And you risk that that company also goes down that model down the road. So there's nothing stopping, or I would say, reducing the risk of that happening.
And Rami is shaking his head.
Now, there are buying models, like, enterprise agreements. There are other things that you can do to help reduce the cost over time.
Right.
But you have to go further and further into that technology stack.
Yeah.
There are decisions that were made here with cameras and everything else that have, and I agree with the decisions you've made to move away.
Right.
But,
Right.
yeah.
It's just, I remember the days when we didn't even have, laptops and we used to spend money on technology only for the admin and the staff. And now it's, for the kids and the building and the cameras and the Wi-Fi and the doors and the alarms and, it goes on and on and on.
Yes.
And so it just takes away from monies that would go elsewhere.
Any other questions? Mrs. Walker?
A D12, the tuition rate, is that the same as last year, or has it been increased?
No, it changes every year based on the budget. These rates are provided right from our budget that we just completed. There are formulas, and it generates, this is the rate for kindergarten, grade 1. So it changes as teachers change, salaries change, benefits change. The rates are always changing. And then it also depends on how many students are in those grades. So,
But they generally always go up.
not necessarily. Like this year, if you notice, the pre-K and kindergarten is actually higher than grades 1. Usually it's grade 6 is the highest, then it's grade 1, 5, and then it's pre-K is usually in kindergarten is the lowest, but it depends on the mix of staff and everything else that's in the building. And the state develops these formulas. This is the rate you're given, and that's it.
In total, does it go up more than the prior year?
Well, it depends on your budget. So if our budget's increased, so this would be the rate for an out-of-district student. If someone was willing to come, he wanted to come here for tuition rate, then they asked, well, how much would it cost for 6th grade? For the year, annual rate would be $13,757. So if somebody wanted to do that, that's how you would quote it, and that's what these rates are.
Any other questions? Call the question.
On the roll, Mrs. Acosta,
Yes.
Mr. Del Greco,
I'm going to abstain from D9 and D10, but I will say yes to everything else.
Mrs. Downey,
Yes.
Mrs. Noria,
Yes.
Mr. Nutlin,
Yes.
Mrs. Walker,
Yes.
Mr. Walsh,
Yes.
Mr. Darian,
Yes.
Mrs. Nichols.
Yes. Delegate report, Mr. Walsh?
Yes. I attended the legislative meeting on June 1st, and I confiscated, to use a better word,
Stall.
as many handouts as I could. So, and I asked the administration to hand them out, so everybody has basically the same thing that I confiscated. It has the meetings from March 9th, and it has updates on what's going on in New Jersey as far as education. If anybody has any questions, they can give me a call, or there might be a number attached to that school board's number. Give them a call and ask the question. My next meeting, I think it's in October. I don't know why it's so long, but they're starting something new with stretching out the meetings. So I guess the next meeting is in October unless something happens with education. That's all I have.
Thank you. Personnel, Mrs. Walker?
Yes, thank you. I'd like to present F1 and F2, but just before we had a personnel meeting tonight, and we discussed a review of the personnel agenda. And now I'd like to present F1 and F2.
I'll second it.
Second by Mrs. Norian. Any questions? Call the question.
On the roll, Mrs. Acosta.
Yes.
Mr. Del Greco.
Yes.
Mrs. Downey.
Yes.
Mrs. Noreen.
Yes.
Mr. Nutlin.
Yes.
Mrs. Walker.
Yes.
Mr. Walsh.
Yes.
Mr. Darian.
Yes.
Mrs. Nichols.
Yes. Policy, Mr. Del Greco.
On June 5th, we had a meeting, and in our packet, we have the minutes of the meeting. We went through a couple of different topics: whistleblower policy, school activity funds, visitor policy, and discussion on gender identity and expression. Nope, no action was taken, just reviewing policy.
Thank you. Public Relations, Mrs. Downey. Yes, we do need a meeting. At this time, open to the public. Either of you two want to yell at us for anything? Mrs. Hawley survived the sixth grade spring fling, so that was positive. Older new business?
I'd like to say something. As a sixth grade parent, I do want to thank the board, the administration, Ms. Hawley, everybody for a successful spring fling. As Ms. Bozius stated, all the events of last week, from the Prudential Center all the way through concerts, through handbells, through everything else, the school, the staff has gone above and beyond of staying late, helping kids out, trying out for marching band next year. So I just want to commend the staff and the administration on giving the sixth grade a hand in things. Thank you.
Any other old or new business? Who's going to graduation that you know right now? Who's going? 1, 2, 3, oh wait.
I have my own.
Mr. Walsh, are you going to graduation?
Yes, I am.
So around
21st,
7.
right?
Next Wednesday, the 19th?
19.
The 19th, right? Not the 21st, the 19th. What time does it start?
9:30.
9:30?
It said on the invitation.
What time does it start? 9:30?
Thank you for reading the invitation,
I
because
read it.
my brain is done.
That's how I put it in my calendar, so.
And it's pending weather, right? If it's raining, we're inside, and it's limited. If it's
Oh, yeah.
Not
but-
raining,
But
it's
it's not going to rain.
It rains late.
Please don't say that.
We don't talk about it.
We'll just put some
Tw-
chemtrails, it'll
12.
be fine.
It's gonna be fine.
Not once.
In my 10 years on the board.
the mayor statue.
A second.
You can move,
No, we
you'll
can
be the
move
only one moving.
to go to executive. Yeah, come on.
Okay, Mr. Darian, would you make a motion that we go into closed session for student, personnel, and legal issues?
I'd like to make a motion, we go to executive session for student, personnel, and some legal issues.
I second.
I'll second
Second by
it.
Mr. Del
Or
Greco.
third it, or fourth it.
Second by Mr. Del Greco. Call the question.
On the roll, Mrs. Acosta. Yes. Mr. Del Greco.
Yes.
Mrs. Downey. Yes. Mrs. Noreen.
Yes.
Mr. Nutlin.
Yes.
Mrs. Walker.
Yes.
Mr. Wall.
Yes.
Mr. Darian.
Yes.
Mrs. Nichols.
Yes, we will not be taking any action after.
Cha-ching, some.